This next story is 5 years old, and it's COVID related. Am I the asshole for giving my coworker a dose of his own medicine? So to start, this happened in March. I work in a corporate environment, and I have 2 colleagues I'm quite close with, T and R. We have a third colleague, K, who I do not feel close with. I do not enjoy him, however I try my best to hide it, and maintain an amicable professional atmosphere 99% of the time. Now, for a bit of reference, K is a very dramatic individual, and seems to really enjoy being a victim in whatever scenario he finds himself in. This is important later. I live in Canada, in a province that didn't get affected by COVID nearly as quickly as the rest of the world. So, anyways, it's early March, and at this point we've seen China and Italy get hammered. The US is sinking, and we're starting to see our country and province get affected by an increasing number of cases. RT and I are all concerned. T and I both have pre-existing conditions that could make COVID much more difficult to recover from. And RT and I all have family members who would be seriously endangered. We start out by chatting about how serious and terrifying this is, how the mortality rate seems to be so high, how many are dying, etc. Kay looks at us and says that people die every day, and that this is just an acceleration of what life already does. TR and I were flabbergasted, but we tried talking about it from other angles. No dice. Key repeats the exact phrase 5 more times. RT and I start saying that we are concerned specifically for our family. I say that I'm concerned specifically for my father. Again, Kay says, people die every day. T and R try, but same thing. We stopped talking about it, but at this point Kay had said it 8 times total. The rest of us are tense, but in no mood for a fight. We are eating our lunch, discussing other things, when Kay gets a phone call. He chats a bit, then leaves the table. He comes back after a few minutes and is unhappy. Now this sounds unkind, but neither RT or myself inquired after Kay about what happened. Because, as mentioned, Kay is very dramatic, and honestly this happens almost daily, with some quote-unquote crisis or other. Kay tries to spur us into questions by muttering to himself and sighing a lot, looking forlorn and panicked. RT and I continue our conversation. When it finished, Kay tells us that his cousin had a heart attack the night before. He's in the hospital, and he's the one that called to advise him. He's okay and recovering, it was only mild. Then Kay starts going on about how scary this is, and how worried he is for him. Something inside me snapped, and I looked Kay dead in the eye and said, well, people die every day. As you can imagine, that went over like a bag of bricks. Kay turned white, packed up his lunch, and left. T and R are shocked that I had the gumption to say it, because I'm not generally very confrontational. I do think I should have kept it professional at work, but I'd reached my breaking point. Am I the asshole? Note, I did apologize and we moved on. I do want your opinion though. So this story is marked as not the asshole. Which is interesting to me cause my first gut reaction is yikes, you can say something like that, even in retaliation. But I don't judge solely with my gut, I also need to use logic, so let's see. Kay's behavior is awful. He showed zero empathy and seemed to be proud of his lack thereof. He totally deserved to hear this response. The question is, should you be the one to deliver it? Should you become this tool of divine justice? I know P didn't think in those categories. It was spur of the moment. But I'm trying to figure out what you should and shouldn't do in a situation like that. I kinda wish there was a narrative voice saying all the awful things people deserve to hear so that no one has to be this person. And I'm not religious. I don't think it's a sin or karma or whatever. I just believe in the value of human life and trying to be as empathetic as you can. And I'm not a slave to my values. I'm more than fine with making some exceptions. Like, if you're a dictator and started a war, please die. Do me a fucking favor. Same with empathy. If you're so proud of not having it, I'm not about to give you any. So this K guy totally opened himself to some pointed lack of empathy. However, his cousin is just some guy we do not know. And do we really want to be this person who says his life doesn't matter, even temporarily to prove a point? 'Cause that's basically what you say by saying people die every day. And actually, the more I think about this phrase, the angrier I get. This kind of thinking might be the root of why everything is so fucked up. Just imagine all the things you can justify, tolerate, or ignore, because people die every day. Hence my yikes reaction. At the same time, I feel like this reaction is too idealistic and kinda silly. After all, no harm was done. The cousin was already fine by the moment of the conversation. If he wasn't, that would have been an entirely different story. As it is, OP made their point, taught a valuable lesson to their colleague, and then apologized. And their words did not in any way affect the cousin, who is the innocent party. Is it bad just because I momentarily felt uncomfortable? Probably not. So I'm gonna say not the asshole after all. But it is a tough decision. We live in a world where idealistic does often equal stupid, and it's more important to be practical or stay sane. But shouldn't we still strive for what's right? So tell me in the comments, would you choose violence in this particular case? Meanwhile, let's see what Redditors have to say. Almost all of them say not the asshole, justified asshole, which is a bit of a cop-out if you ask me, because this is not an official option. Or technically everyone sucks here, but I support you, I'd do the same. He needed to hear it to learn empathy. Not the asshole, you used his own words against him and he deserved it. I mean, you probably shouldn't have said it, but I'm laughing too hard to be mad, so not the asshole. Everyone sucks here, but sometimes assholery is pretty justifiable as a response. Not the asshole, I bet the others wanted to say it but didn't have the guts. One commenter says, in technicality, I have to go with everyone sucks here. However, I say that while also handing you a get out of jail free card. Yes, you were an asshole. However, the assholery was pretty justified. It's kind of like a court case where someone's found guilty, but the judgment they're ordered to pay is 1 cent, lol. Great metaphor. I'll tuck it away for later use. Some people are very angry with K and say he needed a lesson. Not the asshole. People who only care when bad things affect them personally are garbage and deserve no sympathy. As a person who lived most of his life in New York City, I have particularly little sympathy for people who tried to downplay COVID-19 with false equivalences and misinformation. I hope you and yours remain safe and well up north, OP. Not the asshole. Sometimes karma needs to be swift and direct. Hopefully Kay learned his lesson. If the worst that he suffers from this is having his own ugly, inconsiderate words thrown back in his face minutes after uttering them, he will have gotten off lightly. That's true. But unfortunately we have a bit of an update about Kay. One commenter says, everyone sucks here, but you knew that. Out of curiosity, when you apologized, did he apologize in return, or acknowledge that he was out of line, or that he understood why you felt frustrated? And OP replies, oh no, he yelled at me and said, you're a horrible friend, and I'd never say something like that to you. But he did, and that's what started all this. Thankfully, at that point I'd calmed down and didn't push it. I just left him. That's fucking crazy. The most charitable translation of what he said is he wouldn't have said it if something had actually happened to OP's family members, and he only did because it was hypothetical. That makes a little bit of sense, but still, the danger wasn't imaginary. People had very reasonable concerns that he very rudely dismissed, and now he demonstrated a complete lack of accountability as well as empathy. I hate this guy.